I'm joined now by Congressman Eric Sorensen, who is a Democrat from Illinois. We have a lot to talk about, Congressman. I appreciate you being here. But let's start first with the Harris campaign. You were among those who called on President Biden to step aside. What is it about President or Vice President Harris's vision for the Oval Office? How could it be different than President Biden's, and what's your overall take on the start of her campaign?
Well, Ryan, it's great to be with you. First and foremost, I have a recollection of the first time that I voted for a president. I remember the feeling that I had when I voted for Barack Obama in 2008. I felt like I was doing something so important for our country. We need that to occur again. And this needs to be at the highest level of importance, especially for young people, especially, as we're looking forward in a climate crisis. We need to make sure that we're making the best decisions. And I'll tell you, with a Midwesterner on the ticket, someone who has served our country proudly, somebody who is a teacher, a coach, a union member, just an all-around good dad, this is a ticket for everyone.
And Vice President Harris has been the de facto Democratic nominee for a couple of weeks now. In that time, though, she's already started to walk back some of the positions that she took in 2020 when she ran for president the first time around. Does that concern you at all? And should voters know why she changed those positions and how that could impact decisions she makes in the future?
Everyone should be evolving in our understanding of how things work. It's okay to clarify positions. It's okay to change your mind as you learn new things. Look, I'm a meteorologist. I'm one of the only meteorologists in Congress. But also, I'll tell you, at the very beginning of my learning of what was going on, I was a climate skeptic. I was one of those people myself that said that there's no way that humans could be causing this. But it wasn't until I did enough research and I looked at some of the data, and the data was pointing in the right direction, that I had an aha moment. And then I have now focused in the past 25 years of talking to people, talking to everyday Americans about this. And I think it is healthy for people to clarify themselves as they learn new things.
And do you think that there should be more than one debate between Vice President Harris and former President Trump? Is one enough?
I think the more we as Americans get a chance to look, I think it is best. But also understanding here, there is such a contrast between both of the people that are running for president today. One clearly has a vision to take us back, and one has a vision to take us forward.
Well, you talked about your history as a meteorologist, a television meteorologist in local news, I should say, as a former local news reporter. We have that in common. It's interesting because we've been clobbered here in the Northeast as the remnants of Tropical Storm Debbie have tore through. There were tornado watches here in the Washington, D.C. area today, tornado warnings, in fact. First of all, you talk about your metamorphosis from climate change critic to someone who firmly believes it now. Are these storms, the frequency of them, how often they're happening, the intensity of them, the fact that they're happening so early? Do you attribute that, at least in part, to climate change? And what should the country be doing to try and stop this encroachment of climate change on an everyday basis?
As a meteorologist, we have to look at the ferocity of these storms, the timing of them, the frequency. They are going up because we're putting more heat, we're putting more energy into the system. We're seeing record numbers and record temperatures of water temperatures. That fuels the fire, if you will, for these types of storms. And as we continue to look out at what's going on with cooler water in the Pacific, with a La Nina that is developing out in the Pacific, as that water cools, it tends to promote hurricane strength in the East Coast. And so, look, just yesterday, NOAA revised its projections for the remainder of hurricane season. Now a 90% chance that we're going to have a much more active hurricane season. And so we need to make sure that we're ready, especially with increased risk up the eastern seaboard. And also it means that the federal government needs to respond swiftly after disasters like what we're seeing right now to make sure that basic needs are met, but then also to make sure that we can quickly revive commerce and industry.
And we just played a pretty lengthy piece from our colleagues in Texas about the insurance crisis that they're dealing with there and how natural disasters are just causing a skyrocketing cost when it comes to home insurance costs. Obviously, each state is handling this differently. There's a different toll for those of us that live in Virginia and Maryland than there would be for folks that live in states that are in the tropics and in areas where hurricanes are more prevalent. But should there be a federal response to this? Should the federal government do something to try and equalize the cost of insurance to try and make it not so burdensome?
Right. I mean, just look at what's happened in Florida. My own brother is a resident of Sarasota and went 3 days without being able to get out of his own home. And then he called me up and he said, Eric, he said, flood insurance is incredibly expensive. And he goes, I'm not even in a floodplain, yet the water came up to my door. We are going to need to tackle these challenges because it's not just people that live in the tropics. It's people that live here. We had 14 inches of rain in Fulton County, Cuba, Illinois. I just went and talked with residents there last week. Some of the folks there don't even have homeowners insurance. We need to make sure that the federal government is helping not just along the coast, but up into the heartland, because there is an economic impact. And we know, unfortunately, it's going to get worse as time goes on.
We have to go, Congressman, but now that you're not a practicing meteorologist anymore, do you still get blamed when it rains? Or do people...
So many members of Congress are saying, Eric, can I fly through Dallas today? I'm proud.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it, Congressman. I appreciate you being here.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.